And welcome back to Late Night Love. We are going to start off with some life. So, tonight we're diving into the strange emotional weather of adulthood, the feeling that everyone else is faking it, the pressure to pretend money isn't the engine behind the half of the decisions we make, the heartbreak of a partner who fails you at the worst possible moment, the sting of being told you seem desperate in a job interview, and the quiet loneliness of not quite fitting in with coworkers. This is the part of the show where we acknowledge that life is messy, confusing, and sometimes deeply unfair, but also full of tiny human moments that help keep us going. All right, Lovey, this is true because, sometimes we have difficult days and that you've got to power through, right, to get the
Yeah,
job done
yeah.
in work, regardless of whether you're having a bad day or not. You know, sometimes you can say, all right, you know what? I'm taking the rest of the day off. I'm going to pick it up tomorrow because I'm just going to make more of a mess. But you can't always do that.
No.
Sometimes you got a live show to do
Yeah.
or or a deadline that's due or something's past due and or somebody else's mess you've got to clean up. Or like I had to do this week, just accept that I screwed something up 9 months ago. It came to it just came to light now. And so I had to go around and spend half the week cleaning it up. Such is life, right? It happens sometimes. Not the first time in my life I've made a mistake that came came due 9 months later. But yeah, the fact is, if I was the only one who made a mistake, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But three of us made the exact same mistake at the exact same time. And but ultimately that particular thing was my responsibility. I should have had it, so I have to accept it. The other two can accept their own responsibility for it or not. It's not relevant.
Mhm,
I didn't do my part. If I'd
mhm.
have done my part, nothing else would have mattered. So, you know, in my defense, it was a chaotic time 9 months ago, but still. But still, it wouldn't happen today. I have completely different processes, but such as it is. Such as it is. But yeah, it's easy to mess up. And sometimes that mess up you don't know about until 9 months later. It's just the way the world works sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So where are we starting with tonight, love?
Well, we have an interesting viewpoint here. And what is the opposite of imposter syndrome, where you think everyone else is faking it? Because I think I have it.
Well, because everybody else is faking at least a large chunk of it.
Yeah.
Life comes at you fast. Half the time you've never done something before, but you're in the position you're in because you make good decisions based upon incomplete information. That's what good leaders do. And then when you mess up, you accept responsibility for it and protect your team because you're the one responsible. That's what you do. But yeah, everybody is faking it far more than you realize. They just are. We're all human. They're no different than you are. We're doing the best we can, and sometimes it's better than others.
Yeah.
You know, and,
Absolutely.
and so when you look around and you go, it seems like people are just winging it. It's because they are
They
just
are
winging
just
it.
winging it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're winging it the best way they are, and,
First we show up,
and
and
then we
then we
see
see
what
what
happens.
happens. Yeah. You can't plan everything out to the nth degree.
The difference is there's people who are comfortable in that,
Yeah.
and then there are people who will become paralysis by analysis. Right? They start worrying about, am I the only one who feels that way? Am I just faking? No, everybody else fakes it until they know what they're doing. And the thing is, once you know what you're doing, you're on to something else because you've proven you're competent. And so now you're trying something more difficult that you haven't done before. So you're faking it until you make it. And then you move on to something else. That's how evolution essentially works. And whether it's, human evolution or personal evolution, it's all fundamentally the same. Once you become comfortable doing something, it's time to move on. It's time to push yourself again. So the other way to think about that, if you're not faking it, then you're a little more comfortable than you should be. Or at least not faking some part of it.
Yeah.
You're not making some part of your life up as you go along. You're not doing enough. Yeah. I recorded well, my first radio play, at least the way we did it.
Mhm.
Multiple actors in the first
Yeah.
technique we did. Sure, I did one. Brought my little home studio kit with me. hooked them up, put little microphones on hat because I read a couple places that's a good technique to use to get consistent sound when you don't have to worry about cameras.
Mhm.
Had them wear baseball hats, clipped a microphone to the bill. Sound came in clean, mostly, but we did a couple takes. I can piece stuff together in the edit if need be without too much effort. There's only a handful of things to do.
You're constantly getting opportunities to stretch yourself.
Yeah, because I'm easy to work with and I'm relatively competent, even when I don't know what I'm doing. We'll make it up. I read this somewhere. I saw someone else do this. I talked to somebody once and he said, this is a technique you can use. And so I put somebody else's ideas into practice. Sometime I might meld a couple ideas. I'm not unique. I'm sure somebody else has done it, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know. So I try it out. Sometimes I just try things. We'll see what happens. Oh, that one didn't work. Let's try something else. You know, we tried one with one set of mics. It didn't like the way it sounds. So I swapped them out for a different set of mics. It sounded better. Yeah, these are just things you do. So don't worry about it so much. But one thing we should worry about is us telling you that you can find us at latenightLove.us. You can send us your questions, comments, suggestion, etc. to love@latenightLove.us. You can find us on, you know, all the various platforms. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. You can also find us on, I should probably read that, KUBU 965 on live 365. Yeah, you can find us there. I forget what our time slot is, but that is terrible of me. But you can listen to us there. And maybe you might find us on TV if I decide to make TV edits and submit them
Ooh.
for you for under your name.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what is next?
Why are we supposed to pretend it's about anything but money?
Well, because for some people, it's about a lot more than money.
Yeah.
You know, all right, I could argue part of my job is because I've got a really easy commute. It's literally a mile. That's part of the reason I'm willing to work for less than I would be for the same position in other places. If I had a 20-minute commute, they'd have to pay me more. They just would.
Mhm.
Or they wouldn't get the same type of employee I am because I get lots of flexibility because I'm close. But also, it's easy for me to get up in the morning because I believe in the mission that we're trying to accomplish. And lots of people believe in the mission.
Yes.
There was some guy who works installing and fixing septic tanks. He says the strange thing was I was never passionate about septic tanks when I started. I just needed a job. And he said the next thing you know, I'm feeding my wife and my kids, and I've got a retirement fund, got a nice house. Says I'm really passionate about septic tanks now. Can't shut me up. I'm like the Hank Hill of septic tanks, you know. But because it becomes your passion, because it becomes what takes care of you and feeds your family and takes care of maybe even for generations if you've built a successful business out of it. It's something that's bigger than just you. And that's more than just money. That's what the money buys you. Comfort, freedom, stability for your future generations, whatever it is for you. And who cares if it's money or not? Money's not evil. Money itself is there's nothing evil about money. How you accumulate it may be, but it by itself, and I've never understood why people care when rich people go spend their money on like these big, huge yachts. Yachts are nothing but a money pit. He is literally redistributing wealth, exactly what you want them to do. He's giving his money away to builders and maintenance people and staff and the people who have to fill it up and all these people. He's just handing money out. And those things ain't worth. He can't. If he has a $500 million yacht, who's he going to sell it to? Anybody who can afford a $500 million yacht is going to build their own. They're not going to build somebody's secondhand $500 million yacht. It's worth 10 million at most on the open market. That's burning money. All the people who built it, all the people who designed it, and all the trickle down effects from that. Let them spend it. Just let them spend it.
Fuels the economy.
It's redistributing wealth, especially on stupid things like boats and kind of worthless stuff. Well, somebody's got to build it and service it and do all that. He's just burning money. He's literally burning all that money that you're complaining he's hoarding. So shut up. I I get it. It looks bad, but think about the actual downstream effects of all that. He's got to have a full-time staff to maintain that boat.
Yeah. That's jobs.
That's it's a lot of them. And these are people who are doing what they like to do. People who work on those kind of yachts, they like to do that kind of thing. They get to travel the world. Sure, when he's on boat, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but most of the time he's not there. You're just taking care of a boat. You're getting paid $100,000 a year to take care of a boat in all the wonderful, beautiful places of the world. Oh, horrible me. It's and so what, you want them to replace those jobs with what? Sewing tennis shoes for poor people? They can afford to buy, just anyway. My point is stop being mad about his money. It's okay to be mad about people who defraud. Perfectly legitimate argument. But stop being mad because other people are successful. It doesn't benefit your life at all. It actually just makes you more miserable because you're focusing on things other than yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Focus on what you're doing. The more energy you put into the self, the more energy you get out of it, right?
Yeah. I agree.
Stop burning energy on somebody else. Okay.
Okay. My girlfriend of a year and a half told me to be a man and console her when my mom died instead of supporting me. Now she's begging me for forgiveness. How do I reconcile her apology with the fundamental breach of trust?
She's 28. This is likely the first time she's had to deal with this kind of thing. And she was surprised. She was probably raised by a father and grandfather who wouldn't cry if you cut their arm off.
Yeah.
He may have cried at Old Yeller, but beyond that, it wasn't going to happen. Or at least not be seen.
It's not seen.
It's not that it's not done, it's just not seen. But this is why you ask why men don't show their emotions. This is why. It's not other men that beat you up for showing your emotions. It's the people who are closest to you. It's this kind of thing. Now he's going to be, the worst part of this is he's going to be very careful about how he expresses himself moving forward.
Yeah.
The breach of trust, it's not that fundamental. It's a human error, right? There will come a time where it won't seem as big as it is. Not saying it's not a hurtful event, but it feels more hurtful than it ultimately is because of the timing of it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think she's trustworthy going forward. I don't see him really.
Well,
what he's always going to do is guard his emotions a little bit.
And that's the biggest problem, right? Men at 31, he's been told his whole life to show your emotions, to express himself. And then when he did to the very person he was closest with, he essentially got, rejected, told that's not appropriate.
Yeah.
Now, to her credit, she realized it, manned up for lack of a better word, and is trying to deal with it. You have to appreciate, you have to give someone credit for that. That's not easy. Women are very difficult to apologize for these kind of things, right? They'd much rather just kind of shut up until it goes away, historically speaking. So I'm going to give her some credit for trying to deal with this head on.
Well, she's giving him a chance.
Okay, so
to heal.
Here's the thing. At 28, were you the person you are now?
No.
Would you have responded at 28 to this kind of thing the same way you would respond now?
I know how I responded to my mother's death. When I was 44, and it wasn't good.
So while I understand the negative emotion, you're talking about what it's their boyfriend and girlfriend, so it's a little different than their husband and wife. But because they haven't made a long-term lifetime commitment, right? You don't know
Yeah.
how long-term of a but if you're talking about a 20-year relationship, an event like this early on when you're still young in your 20s, I can forgive it because you're not the full developed human being yet. This is part of the things, these are part of the mistakes that make you the human being you eventually become.
As long as he knows and she knows, this is going to be a process of rebuilding trust.
Yeah. It's just the question is he willing to walk that line?
Yeah.
It's not the catastrophic breach of trust that other thing breaches are.
Mm.
What I'm saying. This is a very human.
Like an infidelity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
This is an emotional, not a be actually
she didn't know how to respond to the
emotionally. Yeah.
she didn't know how to respond to this, and so she reverted to some primal instinct based upon what her past experiences was, and then she realized, however much later, that was idiotic. And so she came to try to fix it as best she can. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I do think there's honor in that. And you should try to honor when someone realizes their mistake, comes back to you and says, look, I'm sorry, I really screwed that up. It was highly insensitive of me. I just wasn't thinking, I was emoting. I know why it's hard for him to forgive now.
Yeah.
I completely get it, right? He's still dealing with the death of his mother. And now he's got to deal with two highly emotional things. I get it. I really do. But it's going to also depend on how the rest of the relationship is. We're talking about if it's a relatively solid relationship,
Mhm.
that's one thing. If it's a relatively rocky relationship, and it leans another way. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Right.
okay.
Rejected from a job today because I came across as desperate.
Well, you came across as desperate. They're giving you the feedback you need to be a better candidate in future interviews. I understand it's hurtful. I understand it. That it's, feels a little painful, but you came across as desperate. Go back through it, figure out what you were doing to come across as desperate and change that. Now, maybe you were just trying to be funny and it didn't land, right?
Uh,
Hey, why do you need this job? I need the money. You know that. In some rooms that works, in other rooms it doesn't. You know, so it may not be for you. Maybe the place is a little stuffy for you, or the culture is not right. I mean, you don't particularly care right now because you're hungry, but long term, maybe you're better off not being there anyway.
yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I take this kind of feedback, and apply it. Figure out why you're feeling desperate. Are you being overly scripted? You being overly guarded? You being overly chatty? You being overly blunt? Who knows?
Okay.
So I wasn't there. I can't. But it's a general rule of thumb. If someone is telling you you came across as desperate, then you probably came across as desperate, at least in some form.
Something to work on.
Yeah. It.
Maybe role play with somebody else, a family member or,
But here's
good
the thing.
friend.
Here's the thing. They cared about you enough that they actually
Yeah.
gave you feedback.
Yeah.
They
They
could have
were,
just blown you off.
yeah.
So they cared about you enough where these two candidates are close. That made the difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so look at it as a good way. If you were candidate number 10, they're just blowing you off. So you're in the top 3 or 4, and this is what was a deciding factor. So there's some good news there. It means you're mostly solid. Work on your interview skills. That's what you have to do. Practice. Sit with somebody who's done interviews and practice.
There you go.
and make sure the person can be honest with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the job is because that's not the skill. The skill is the conversation.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
I work with contractors all day and want to do something small for Valentine's Day. Idea: food, baked goods. They're
Well,
men. She said they're men. She doesn't know what to gift them.
don't.
Cupcakes.
My suggestion is don't.
Cupcakes.
If you want to do something, you put donuts out for whoever comes by. You do something that they can just grab that's
Yeah.
not personalized.
Yeah.
You don't.
Definitely not personalized. Do not personalize
You don't
them.
go around having them a bag of nothing. A
No.
bag of candy. No. Just buy donuts and stick them out. Have pizza for lunch or whatever. Just nothing personalized. Just stuff that they can come out and grab as
My go-to is brownies. Add an extra egg to the mix and bacon cupcake cups. 22 minutes at 350. That's my go-to.
My suggestion would be don't, but sure. If you're gonna do it, keep it communal.
Yeah. Communal, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I find it hard to relate to my coworkers. She's young
Mhm.
and they're all older with kids, married.
They're your coworkers. You don't need to relate to them.
Yeah.
I know as a woman, she feels like she does,
Yeah.
but you don't. And here's the thing. They've all been where you are.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna think you can't relate to them and whatnot, but they can relate to you. Trust me. They've been there. They've done that. Somebody in that building in that room has made the same mistake you're gonna make tomorrow. So you can actually become friendly with them the same way you become friendly with people your own age. Just talk about things. Maybe talk about stuff that, TV shows that you like that are a little older or movies you like that are from 10 years ago, right? Instead of the latest fad that you like. But
Because if they got kids, they ain't seen it.
or here's a good one. If you have a niece or a nephew or somebody whose birthday is coming up, ask one of them what would be a good gift for
Yes,
just anything. You'd be surprised how much you actually can relate to them
you really can.
because you're both human beings.
But
You're all human beings.
okay, she's really young. You're not gonna be best buds. Maybe after you move on, you might keep in contact with one, maybe two, and that's it. These people are temporary in your life. That's why they're coworkers, not friends.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and focus on your job and
Yeah.
be competent. And everybody likes someone who's competent.
Everybody will like you. Yeah.
Everybody likes someone who's competent. So, and don't try too hard because that's actually the most annoying thing of all.
Yeah.
So just you be okay. Okay.
Okay, last one. Okay, these two. They're both 31, male and female. Marriage hasn't been a priority for him for years. Now suddenly he's talking rings, feeling confused and looking for advice. Now I read through this. He has reached a milestone in his life. He's got the promotion.
Hmm.
He's buying a house.
Oh, he wanted stability before he did the marriage thing. That's explainable,
Yeah.
right? If he's recently achieved, okay, I've gotten to the point where I can support a family. So now I'm ready for a family. He just quite literally wasn't ready for marriage yet, and now he is. And why? Because men are strange, just like women. There's a practical side to us, right?
Yeah.
And until we're prepared to take care of the responsibilities we're taking on, you're gonna some of us won't do it. We're not gonna do it on faith that, I'll figure it out later. You've got to wait until you've got it figured out. Some people never do. Uh, but you're 30. You got a chance to start a family. Go start your family. if this is what you want, I guess maybe is the question. Is she feeling confused because now I don't know if I want to be married, or is she just confused because
All of a sudden, he's doing this.
it's
She doesn't understand.
it's not all of a sudden. He was just waiting until he had his ducks in a row. And I bet you if she went back and kind of examined things, there's signs
Mm.
that he's just one of those ducks in the row person. He's not going to get married until he's got his life straight. And now he's got his life straight.
Enjoy. Congratulations.
Yeah. So don't overthink it. There's nothing to be confused about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially you explained it. She literally explained it. He just got his promotion. He just got the house. Hello, McFly. He's ready to settle down now. His baking time is done, right? He spent enough time in the oven. Ding, he's ready to go.
His light is on.
Yeah, it's essentially it's like like a cake. 20 minutes is up. It's time to pick it out the oven for good to go. Don't worry so much about it. Enjoy it. Life doesn't hand out clean story arcs, but every moment of confusion, rejection, or disappointment is also a moment of clarity, an invitation to understand yourself better. You're not behind, you're not broken, just human, and you are learning. For me and Lubby, have a good night, and please remember to love everybody.
Good night.